Good Saturday, Manila. This is Gavin Batista at the Prosperity Channel. We have so many things to discuss today because the former president of the Philippines, President Digong Duterte, is now in Hague, unfortunately, because of certain personalities in Manila that simply made that possible. I'm referring, of course, to Senator Imee Marcos. I am shocked of the statement of Attorney Salvador Panelo regarding the disaster that has happened with the family of former President Duterte. And as I was telling my connections in Manila, this could have been stopped if I intervened again. And the most important person that could solve this matter is ang senador ng bayan, Imee Marcos. But I don't know what happened because I'm really confused with all the news coming out in the Philippines, and no less than the Wall Street Journal, that Imee Marcos could have solved this because she was the person that introduced Sara Duterte to her brother, who was not yet president during that time. And the marriage was, as she called, would be the perfect tandem or the perfect team. It was solid, it was strong, they were doing well, and somewhere along the line, things collapsed, it imploded. You know, basic 101 in any business relationships is that whoever introduced that person to the given business entity must be responsible for that arrangement. The sad story is, if President Duterte will die in Hague, we will see another people power revolution. In fact, some are already doing it in Davao and in Cebu and in Iloilo. So there is already a people power revolution that is already happening in the provinces of Mindanao, in Cebu, and in Iloilo. This has to stop in the name of sustaining a steady economic growth for a third world country like the Philippines. And I would like to address this video to Senator Imee Marcos that it still can be solved. Because if we are not going to again involve ourselves and engage with what is really happening in the Philippines, it's all over. It will be people power all over again. But it will start in the provinces. Because the way Sal Panelo is coming out is that the province of Mindanao, the Mindanaoans, and the Visayans are accusing the senator from Ilocos as a traitor to the nation. And again, President Duterte, former President Duterte, has already stated that something violent will happen again with the 15 senators or 12 senators in the Philippines. So again, if we are going to sit in the bench this will explode to a state of complete chaos. It will be the most disastrous time in Philippine economy, because China is just waiting on the wings. And as I submitted my email to my good friend in Manila, Tony Daza, the China-Philippine problem can be solved. The proposal is to do a joint venture in China and in the West Philippine Sea on a petroleum deal. I have all the connections, deep connections, strong connections, loyal connections, reliable professional connections right here in the state of Oklahoma and Texas, which is the new petroleum capital of the world. And again, I am putting my reputation on the line. Tony knows me very well, my family. I am not going to come out with Tisha Cruz statements here. No. This is strong statements that will immediately solve the problem, not only with the West Philippine Seas, but the whole problem we have in China. And as I was telling the surrogates of Xi Jinping, why are you hitting on the Philippines? When historically we helped China for the last 21 centuries. We were the ones giving China money, support, social incentives, all the assets you can imagine that made China what it is today, that made China great today. We were the ones that started it all. That is based on history and not half-baked statements like Tisha Cruz that has maligned my family and my brother, Harvard superstar, master's in law, dean of so many law schools, Juan Andres Bautista. And the problem with all these brickbats is that when you give them a call, it's all a joke. You give me a call at 405-503-8511. I will respond in 1 minute, and I will tell you exactly what I'm going to do. Or if you are testing the waters, so to speak, you can hit me with an email at superdeals1494@gmail.com. Therefore, to Senator Imee Marcos, all you have to do is give me a call through my Viber app at 405-503-8511, or you can hit me with an email at superdeals1494@gmail.com. And I will tell you right now, Senator Imee, it's not the end of the world. If you have the right team, the right professional, seasoned team, this matters can still be resolved, or else it's all over. We would have another people power, which is already starting again in Mindanao and in the Visayas. And that's why the group of Bam Aquino, his surrogates, are approaching me here in Oklahoma and asking, what should I do? What should you do? Let us come out with a marathon meeting to address our problems, fly to Hague, and tell the judge already there, this, out of the 6,000 that was murdered because of the drug problem, these are the people that are truly criminals, And some, as you know, it happens in any drug war, some innocent lives have been killed. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not claiming I am a lawyer, but the fact remains that this can all be solved through legal remedies in the right civilized manner. I submitted that email to my connection in Manila, the very Honorable Tony Daza, and I hope the President of the Philippines, President Bongbong Marcos, can act on it immediately, because the image of the Philippines continues to be in a very difficult, dire situation, to the extent that from being a supposed to be the sick man of Asia, being now the darling of Asia, we are back to the image of being the sick man of Asia. In fact, I have included there that if Transportation Secretary Jaime Bautista will be retired, we can immediately fast-track the bullet train from Pagudpud, Ilocos Norte, which I'm very familiar with because I lived in the Ilocos region for nearly a year, all the way to the Tutuban Center in Manila, and from the Tutuban Center in Manila all the way to Sorsogon. Bicol, Sorsogon. That can be achieved with my plan, because we already know how it works. We already know what the perfect plan would be. We already know the funding. We already know the labor support from the Filipinos that can be done overnight. And if we have to do a joint venture, with Ayala Land and other Filipino developers like the Villar Group, like Mega World, like I heard he's having a problem right now, the DMCI, DMCI with the Villanueva Group. It can all be fast-tracked. The most important thing right now would be that Senator Imee Marcos talk to President Marcos and come out with an immediate solution. The more you sit on this problem, nothing will happen. And that's exactly what's happening right now. It is a problem that you simply sit on and that's it. And that's exactly what happened in the Ukraine war and in Russia. They sat on it. Look at it now, 1.6 million people dead. That's why the senator from Arizona, I'm sorry for deviating the matter on this matter, because we don't want that to happen in the Philippines. Ukraine is history. It has to be history right now. It cannot happen in the Philippines because it might happen. The way to do it right now is to immediately call me up, Senator Imee Marcos, at 405-503-8511. I am on Viber, 405-503-8511. Or if you want to hit me with an email right now, because time is so crucial, at superdeals with an S, plural S, 1494@gmail.com. Because of the fluidity of the matter, things can happen overnight. I know that the other party, the Liberal Party, Laila de Lima, Riza Ontiveros, Solita Monsod are all wanting justice. We can discuss that matter one by one with them, and it can be done because obviously De Lima was not guilty as charged. So what is the solution? It's very complicated. But the moment we go to the negotiating table and no more death threats coming from the Duterte camp, it can be done. But the cost is going to be very high. The cost is going to be very high. And I know the hurt because De Lima was incarcerated for years when, based on legal experts here in the United States of America, she should have been released probably in less than a week because the evidence was so weak. The evidence was fabricated. So, again, in the name of Philippine national interest, this must be done immediately. We cannot sit on the sidelines and wait for the sun to go down, because the presidency of President Bongbong Marcos, fondly called as Bongbong, is at stake here. If you are going to sit on the sidelines, Senator Imee Marcos, I can almost guarantee you there will be another people power, and we do not want that to happen because China will look at that as an opportunity to attack the Philippines, just like what happened to Ukraine. So, I would like to be very, very clear. The surrogates of Xi Jinping is already here in the United States. Okay, they respect me a lot because of the wisdom I have shared with them. Because you have to be the most stupid president in the world if you want to do another Ukraine, which is becoming probably even worse than the Holocaust on a timeline basis. That's why Senator Kelly from Arizona, who was the #1 pro-Trump supporter, is now, in a way, for a lack of a better term, anti-Trump because he is siding completely with Ukraine. But I was telling this good senator, if you'll do that, then there will this never-ending war will continue and continue and continue. Because as I was telling my connections here in the United States, the only way to stop that war is to make sure Vladimir Putin will agree on an immediate ceasefire. Meaning to say, tomorrow morning he will say to his Russian army, stop the bombing, stop the attacks. That's the very first step. That is the very, very first step. And what will happen? The American economy will grow overnight. In other words, the stock market will boom again. All because of the strong leadership of President Donald Trump. Same thing with the Philippines. We are now wanting to support all out President Bongbong Marcos to resolve the Duterte issue once and for all. And the key person to that is still Senator Imee Marcos. If Senator Imee Marcos will be able to broker that deal, will be able to solve that crisis, then the Philippines will somehow be able to go back to that path of economic prosperity and hopefully become an industrialized nation overnight, which I have again proven via an email less than 24 hours ago to the Honorable Antonio Tony, he's fondly called as Tony Daza. And again, I am putting my reputation on the line because it has already been done and it can be done with the right professional plan. And I suggest to remove Jaime Bautista, even though he has my same name, immediately out of the Transportation Department and replace with somebody that can make it happen. No offense to Jaime Bautista, but we need a person that can make this happen overnight, who can be respected by the Ayalas, who can be respected by the Chinese community under Mega World, who can be respected by the Filipino group under Manny Villar, who can be respected by other Filipino contractors like, I think, pardon the term because I'm not familiar with them, DMCI, who can be respected by the greatest Filipino architect, June Palafox. And it can be done. It can be done. So I have to cut this video because, as I said, I have to rush all the documents again in the Philippines and in the United States because I have a strong feeling that the Ukraine war and in Russia can be solved if the plans can be directed immediately to the President of the United States, our beloved Donald Trump, and it can be directed immediately to the President, the leader of Russia, Vladimir Putin, as soon as possible. So we can have a meeting of the minds, we can have an intersection of management, and more importantly, the most important part is that Vladimir Putin must have the wisdom to understand, and I know he has, that if he were to decide now, not tomorrow, his image as a bad leader, as an evil leader, will turn overnight as a leader of honor, as a leader that is willing to put Russia's reputation on the line as a civilized nation and not as a Nazi nation, as being defined by certain people here in the United States and in other parts of the world, because they do not know the Russian history, they do not know the Russian culture, they do not know how Russia exists on a day-to-day basis. They lack historical education and historical wisdom. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you soon, and if you have any questions, or if you want to be part of this prosperity team, all you have to do is give me a call. And if you want your name to be sponsored here, or you would like to grab our huge network of 250,000 professional Americans, and it is growing by the day because we already have millions of fans in Japan, the Philippines, Thailand, Taiwan, all over the world. This is Gavin Batista at 405-503-8511. We are the only news network that provides our number, because once you call up, we will give you an answer. Unlike the others, they are nothing but fake news out there to deceive you and abuse you with fake news. We are not that. We do not belong to the Ben de Rosario family. We are not related at all with Oscar Reyes Sanchez. We are the real deal. Gavin Batista, your host at the Prosperity Channel. Thank you and good morning. See you soon.